If you or a loved one have been experiencing any kind of respiratory issues or difficulties with breathing or anything with the lungs, and or you've had bouts of sadness or grief, maybe you've experienced a loss recently that was really impactful to your heart, I'm going to share with you the connection between the mind-body connection between specific types of emotions as well as physical symptoms. And this is based in Chinese medicine. So, for those of you who are new to seeing me, I'm a holistic therapist. I've been a licensed clinical therapist for quite some time, and I've had over 20 years of experience. And I'm very passionate about learning and sharing about the mind body connection, and more specifically in today's talk, in Chinese medicine. And so, I'm going to be doing a series on this and going through all the different organs and glands and different types of emotions and the correlation. So, sadness and grief. Oftentimes, here's a symptom that often happens if you're experiencing that. Waking up between the hours of 3 a.m. to 5 a.m. for no apparent reason. It's not because you have to go to the bathroom or anything like that. You just tend to wake up frequently between the hours of 3 a.m. and 5 a.m. Now, why is that? Part of the reason is between 3 and 5 a.m., the lungs, the meridians of the lungs are regenerating between those 2 hours. Now, what is a meridian? A meridian, think of it as a river on both the left and the right side. It's a line of energy. It's like a river that carries your vital life force energy. So it's carrying the vitality through your body. Now, what happens sometimes is if we're experiencing difficult emotions that are unresolved and they're still stuck in our body, that creates the sluggishness in those rivers of life force energy. So if you envision a river, an actual river with flowing, beautiful water, it's loud, it's noisy, it's just full of life, right? What happens when that river is just stagnant and the water is no longer rushing through the river? That is similar to what happens in our bodies in those meridian channels when we have difficult emotions that we haven't fully processed. It creates the stagnation in our energy system. And over time, it can cause unwanted physical symptoms. So in Chinese medicine, the lungs, in issues with the lungs, such as, like I mentioned, respiratory issues or things like that, it can start showing up as a side effect of unresolved emotions such as sadness, grief, yearning for things to be different than what they are, things like that. And so, what is the solution? So, a lot of times people ask me, okay, this is really great information. It's very insightful, but what do I now do with that information? How do I actually begin to heal myself emotionally and physically? So, in all my experience working with people, helping them be set free in their minds and their bodies, it is amazing how significant physical symptoms begin to heal as a result of killing the emotions. So here is a self-help tool. You can download it in my bio on my Stand store. At the very top, it's called my #1 stress tool. It's called the Pulse Points Stress Tool. Download that. It's going to be a short video demonstration walking you through how you can begin to heal your emotions. One of the things that happens with our emotions is, well, first of all, let me backtrack. Emotions are physiological. They're tiny little information substances that permeate different parts of our body. So they are literally in our body. The issues are in the tissues. How do we get the issues out of the tissues? That tool is going to actually be a really great self-help tool for you to work with any kind of emotion, any kind of difficult emotion that you are currently experiencing, or even unresolved emotions from 2 decades ago. Because a lot of times when things that trigger us in the here and the now, it's because those emotions they're being pushed, our buttons are being pushed from something that we've experienced in the past, an unresolved emotion from the past. And so the key to emotional, and I would say even physical freedom, is to learn how to process those emotions. Now, I was never taught this. I didn't know how to process my emotions when I was young. I was actually chronically constipated as a child. And I'm going to get into that in the next video when we talk about the large intestine and the colon and what happens with that. But, and I was actually never taught this in graduate school either. So in my master's program for counseling, I was never taught this, but I have always had this fascination with the mind-body connection as a result of my own personal experience when I had cancer many years ago in my early 20s. And that's a whole other story, but that was a pretty profound, life-changing experience for me, and actually a time that I experienced the most peace. That's another story for another time. But anyway, I hope you found this helpful. Download that #1 stress tool, the Pulse Point stress tool. And I also have in my bio another free resource guide if you're curious to know more about what is the correlation of different emotions with different physical symptoms. You can download that as well. I believe that one is called, I'm just looking at my my computer here, ways in which your body may be communicating stuck emotions. So you can download that as well. So I hope that's helpful. Please let me know if you have any questions. And if there's something specific, any symptom, physical symptom and or emotional symptom that you're experiencing that you want to learn more about, and I'd be happy to share more. Okay. Take care.